Outstanding. So thank you for joining us. I'll allow Dr. Scott to introduce himself and his team a little bit in a bit more depth and get started.
Great. So I'm Scott Ferguson, the Executive Director of the Institute for Rural Vitality here at SUNY Cobleskill. And the purpose of this is to introduce the community to our activities and the initiatives that we're involved in here in our rural community. This is Seth Brow.
Hi, my name is Seth Brow. I'm with the Institute as well here. I am the program coordinator for the Farm and Food Business Development programs, which we'll be talking about later.
And this is Deb Purnett.
Hi, I'm Deb Purnett, and I am the program coordinator for micro-credentials and different credentialing within the Institute.
And online we have Ed Aslan, who we'll show you a picture of momentarily.
That works too. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be with you today.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Ferguson is going to share his screen. He has a small presentation for us today. We're going to be asking a few questions, and then we'll open it up at the end for questions from our participants. We're excited and thank you for joining us today on our Small Business Development Day for Economic Development Week 2022.
Thank you. So the Institute is located at SUNY Cobleskill in Cobleskill, New York. And really the purpose is the outward facing arm of the college. We're really trying to engage our resources in collaboration with other partners to enhance our community and the economic development and vitality of rural New York. This is our team. You've just met us by introducing ourselves. And we wanted to share this because we're acknowledging that we're part of a rural community and that we focus on initiatives that are in the areas of economic and cultural development by providing linkages between the rural community and our academic resources here at the college. That is our sole purpose. And we're going to cover how we do that and what areas we're involved in. Simply speaking, economic development, and we'll talk about the areas specifically that we focus on there and have ongoing initiatives in. Micro-credentials, we'll explain what they are and what offerings we have. Workforce development and trainings, we'll talk a little bit about what the need is and some of what we're doing. And then community and cultural development, which includes some of our faculty and staff fellowships, just to give you an idea. We won't go into much detail there, but we'll give you an idea of what we're working on. So from an economic development perspective, these are the services that we provide, everything from concept through needing to be connected with other resources within the state for any business in the farm and food space at this point, which we're looking to expand to all businesses. Do you want to talk about the business incubator?
Sure. So one of the programs that I oversee is the Farm and Food Business Incubator. It's one of 20 New York State certified incubators, and we're the only one with a true farm and food business focus. So all the services that were listed on the previous page are available on an as needed and come one, come all basis, either on campus or from our program partners, such as the Center for Agricultural Development and Entrepreneurship, which is based in Oneonta, Fuse Hub, which is a statewide manufacturing organization, and our good friends over at Cornell Cooperative Extension, among many others. Just a couple highlights over the past year, the incubator services reached over 380 businesses just here in the Mohawk Valley. And our program partners reach many more through funding that runs through Empire State Development to us, to them.
We'll show you some additional statistics in a little bit on another slide as well. you want to talk about the Ag Innovation Center as our second economic development?
Sure. So also there we have our Farm and Food Business Accelerator, or the FFBA. We're one of 3 inaugural agricultural innovation centers that was awarded by the USDA. The other 2 are also in the Northeast. So the FFBA really focused on taking businesses who are established and have a strong track record and looking at how we can assist them in developing new food or beverage products or scaling existing products. To be eligible, they had to be have their business or an economic impact in the Mohawk Valley. So right now we have a cohort of 10 businesses who are working through the program and getting services to hit those goals of developing new products and scaling products, as well as increasing their revenues and realizing a collective investment in product development in the region.
We're hoping that the USDA decides that this will be able to be recurring. We're having that discussion now with that program office. And it looks like they're going to be able to give us the ability to apply for recurrence of this accelerator program. And the last slide on specific services incorporates a number of aspects. We're building a student and community entrepreneurship center, and that's a picture of it there on the left. And basically what it is maker space and coworker space for rural communities and some hybrid training spaces. Additionally, we have maker spaces in other facilities. And what we mean by that is these are labs that people can come in and do their product development and small batch production in. We have 3 commercial kitchens and another food lab as well that are usable for entrepreneurs. We have a brewing and distilling lab that can do small batch production or product development, very small runs, if you will. What do we think it was? 5 liters?
Yeah.
And then we have a food packaging lab that's in creation right now. We have 3 of our 5 pieces of equipment, and that we anticipate will be done in the next couple months. And then we have a dairy processing center that's operating, and we'll show you a picture of some users of that. We have a USDA meat processing lab. Currently, we have an entrepreneur in there making, freezing their homemade meatball recipe. And we have another firm that's doing charcuteries. So there's a lot of different types of breadth of products that people are working with us on in these maker spaces. And the Carriage House Cafe is a made in New York store that we have the ability for entrepreneurs to position their products in for sale to enter the marketplace. And that's an on-campus store here. These are some stats. We've serviced over 570 farm and food businesses since we started the incubator. We've serviced 21 beginning farmers, done 46 unique business plans and 60 unique marketing plans for different businesses. 25 entrepreneurs have piloted at least 2 new products that were participating in our programs. 35 jobs were created or maintained, and 4 new careers were created. And lastly, the entrepreneurs themselves report that they've changed their behaviors on how they operate their business from going through these processes. The point of this slide is to show that it's not, the grants that we're managing through this are not only to fund those of us that are working on these programs, but a lot of that money goes back to our regional partners that are participating in providing this support. So it's benefiting the region as well through other organizations. This is a user, the Collins Farm and Creamery have been in our dairy processing center making some new products. They're holding some various cheese curds that they created as new product development for themselves. And next we'll cover micro-credentials. And Deb will lead us through that.
So we just wanted to lay some foundation work on micro-credentials and kind of how they came about. They're being seen as the future of higher ed. Pre-pandemic, access and equity was not, access and equity were in issues with minorities as well as low socioeconomic populations. So what micro-credentials offered is a less expensive way, because it's usually a condensed period of time, not quite, a year or 2 years or 4 years of higher education costs, but a more narrow focused credential. So that allowed it to be, so as far as access and equity, it allows students or adult learners to come into a micro-credential for a shorter period of time, be able to finance it, and then and still get the educational component that they need. And the alignment with these socioeconomic trends is that the cost of higher ed has increased, therefore the accessibility is not there. We're fulfilling the projected labor shortage, and then there's a value to those entry wages with these credentials. And I'm not one for really reading screens, but it is important, and I can't memorize all of this. But what a micro-credential is it verifies, validates, and attests that specific skills and or competencies have been achieved. They differ from traditional degrees and certificates in that they are generally offered in shorter or more flexible time spans and tend to be more narrowly focused. Micro-credentials can be offered online in the classroom or hybrid of both.
And what we're working towards is stackability of credentials here at Cobleskill, so that micro-credentials can stack up to certificates and degrees and things like that, which also opens up the access point. Why don't you talk about this?
Okay. These are the summer micro-credentials that we're offering. We have the summer micro-credential program, which you'll notice is more of a focus on business. However, it does align with, a lot of different types of industries. If you are a daycare provider, you may need American Sign Language, you may need human resource management, and you may need entrepreneurship. So it kind of helps align these skills with different industries. Same for a dairy farmer might need at this point entrepreneurship skills and human resource management skills. So these are short programs. All of these micro-credentials are offered. You basically can receive the micro-credential in 12 weeks. It's 2 courses, and each course is 6 weeks. So the first one will run July or May 23rd. And then the second course of each of these micro-credentials will run July 4th. So it's just a nice way to kind of, upskill and get some skills that you may need for promotion or change of jobs or whatever you may need. And then another popular program that we offer is within the meat processing area. We are offering next week, we start our beef processing for producers. And then our meat processing and food safety certificate, which actually isn't offered until September. However, we do a lot of marketing right now. So we thought we'd throw it up. These are all very popular programs for us.
So seats are filling on those. That's another reason why we wanted to show it. So workforce development, the thing that I wanted to point out here is if you look at this chart, we have articulation agreements with most of the BOCES from New England through Pennsylvania for relationships with our academic programs. We are a 2-year public college. We also are the community college for Schoharie County because there's no other SUNY institution in the county. We also are the P-Tech college for Fulton, Montgomery, and Hamilton counties. And we are the only Ag P-Tech college, I believe, with that program. We also are a four-year public college, and we also participate in the local workforce development board. And if you look at this, all the red is the problems in the state where people aren't engaged from a education perspective with the Department of Labor. And we are engaged in every single one of those. So that was what I wanted to point out from this chart, is we're very much involved in all of these aspects. The other thing I wanted to point out is on this slide, it talks about apprenticeship programs. We're in the process of developing apprenticeship programs, state-approved apprenticeship programs currently with employers and associations. And lastly, I wanted to talk about some of the unique things that we're doing. We have a mobile ag engineering, for lack of a better word, rig that takes high-tech equipment on site to train the instructors of institutions that are educating people in ag engineering environments. So we're bringing the latest technology to them. We have done custom development programs. We've worked with an insurance company to develop specific workforce development. And the interest continues to arise with us being asked about what we can be involved in. So we're open to doing almost anything, and our academic programs are broad enough that we can be involved in anything. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly is our culture for our community and cultural environment and development. We're focused on this through our Center for Community Culture and Resilience. And this is done through partnership with other organizations. The picture on the right is a partnership we did in regards to an Antarctic art display and involvement with photographers and artists of all different types that were hosted here on campus for events. And the picture on the right is us involved in some fishery and wildlife mapping and tracking of fish in the local environment. We also have been involved in a major player actually in the Riverkeeper project for the Mohawk and the, I always mess this up, but the Chucky Creek, I forget what, Chuckanundra, I think is what it's called. So we have a number of things, different programs that we're engaged in, and that happens through fellowships that we extend to faculty to engage students and community partners. And here's just a few examples of those. So that is what we wanted to share as a slide deck of presentable information that was prepared. At the bottom of this slide are our contact information. Oh, my pointer doesn't show, but the if you go to our website /institute, so www.cobleskill.edu/institute, or you email us at institute@sunycobleskill.edu. That's the bottom lines of this slide. So with that, we'll turn the time over to you, Spencer. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think I'll start with a couple questions and then I'll open the floor up to our other participants. I noticed that you have a lot of programs for the economic development through the Institute of Rural Vitality. Now, if I understand correctly, there are 6 different centers. Could you kind of touch on each of the centers and how the community members can engage with those centers?
Yeah, so those centers were in the process of consolidating to 3. And the way that they're going to engage with those centers is through our directors of the centers and through our center advisory teams, which will potentially have community organizations invited to be on that advisory team. In terms of engaging with the activities of that center, the way it works, if you want to think about it from a process flow perspective, the inquiry comes into the institute and we pair that to the appropriate director and center. And whether that's an incubator request or an accelerator request or a cultural development request or a sustainability request. So we're kind of that gatekeeper, if you will, that funnels it to the right place. So the best thing to do is really make the inquiry of the institute as a whole.
And the best way to inquire is through the email you provided?
Through the email or through the website, www.cobleskill.edu/institute. And there's actually a form that you can fill out that says, here's what your inquiry is about. And that really helps us to make sure we get you connected with the right people, which sometimes are actually external partners as well.
Excellent, excellent. And I think my second question has to do with micro-credentialing. I think you touched on it a little bit, but how exactly is micro-credentialing? What really makes it different from your traditional certificate or vocational program? Is there anything extra to it?
I wouldn't define it as extra. And then I'll ask Deb to chime in. I would define it as a little bit different in that not every program that you look out there is associated with an accredited institution. So we are basically certifying that people have proven competency in certain skills as an educational institution. And that's what the credential really is. And that lasts for the person's lifetime. Okay, so that's a big difference between some programs that are out there. The second thing that I would say is the point that Deb stated is these really are, they take all different shapes. They're not for credit from, a beekeeping micro-credential that's one topic to a human resource credential that's really 3 different topics put together to make up that micro-credential. So they have all different kinds of shapes and forms, and we have all different topics that we have micro-credentials for. Last time I counted, I think it was 46. Is that right?
We're over
Over that
50
now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're over 50 micro-credentials that we offer, which is ranked 3rd in all of the 64 SUNY campuses. So this is a big deal, and we are definitely a leader in all of SUNY for this. Do you want to add anything to that and the difference?
I think the only thing I would add is that, we develop these micro-credentials depending on different areas. So sometimes it's a need within the community or an industry. So then we kind of tie that into a micro-credential. Sometimes it's employers coming to us asking if we could customize and develop a micro-credential for them. So that's another thing to add, is that we're open to that as well, depending on the needs.
Excellent. And that outreach, people can reach you via the Institute website as well for those?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'll open the floor up to the rest of our participants. If you have any questions for Dr. Ferguson and his team at the Institute, we'd be happy to field those now. Hearing no questions, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We are very happy to have hosted you and to have shared your opportunities to our small business members, and we'll be sure to share this with everyone we know. and make sure that everyone is aware of all of the excellent things you're doing at the Institute of Rural Vitality.
Thank you very much. We look forward to people engaging with us so we can provide assistance in any way possible.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.